And I probably shouldn't say this, but what the hell, I'm going to anyway. You know, I went to my local video store, and you heard me right, video store, and I found this. I thought I had found something incredible. Faces of Death, the Millennium. Now, the truth is, I haven't even had the time to sit down and watch this yet. But what was so interesting about that was when I dropped that video, the next day online, it was a phenomenon. Everybody was saying, oh my God, Faces of Death is at Walmart. I couldn't believe it. But sure enough, I had people send me images of them finding it there. So I went to my Walmart on a Friday, didn't see it, went out of town Saturday, looked all around for it, couldn't find it, couldn't even find the SKU for it. But somehow, Sunday, I needed to go pick up some Diet Pepsis. I go to Walmart to get Diet Pepsis, and I say, let's just go look to the movie section one more time. So here I am going to the movie section, and as you can see, there it was, Faces of Death on DVD. There was only one, obviously, and I grabbed it. Now, I've had people say, what's the big deal? Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying that Faces of Death is legitimately filled with actual death and murder, but there's still a lot of stuff when I was watching these that makes me say, that doesn't look fake, or there's no way they set that up. Now, what is Faces of Death? It's basically this almost documentary-style collection of these scenes of death, murder, torture, and all kinds of extremely graphic stuff. Stuff that some of it clearly is real. For good or bad, really bad. There's nothing good about seeing animals getting killed, albeit for food, but still. I mean, there's stuff in here that is insane. So right off the bat, I've already turned off half of the people from wanting to own this. And what am I supposed to do? Try to convince you? Some people don't see it as a big deal, but me personally, the fact that Faces of Death is available at Walmart right now is truly bizarre, because I don't know that they know what they have, right? Like, clearly, this is not something that I think Walmart was like, well, we have to carry Faces of Death. It's legendary horror stuff, right, guys? I mean, Walmart, as a company, we got to carry it. Somehow, Gorgon Video got these in there. Here's what's interesting about this whole thing. Before I talk to you a little bit more about this collection that they have, here's what's so interesting about this whole situation. And I probably shouldn't say this, but what the hell, I'm going to anyway. It's one thing to be able to buy the Faces of Death movies at Walmart. That's taboo enough for me. But here's the kicker. So I grab my copy of Faces of Death at Walmart. I go to checkout in the self-checkout, because now Walmart doesn't want you to even make any form of human contact except when they need to check your receipt to make sure you actually paid for the items when you checked out, as opposed to, you know, just having people check you out. When I go to the self-checkout, because this is not rated, a kid could go buy this. Like a 10-year-old kid could go over there and buy it. Because if a rated R movie gets scanned, then it does ask for the ID, where it stops you, a worker comes over, and you have to pull out your ID so they can verify that you're old enough. But not rated movies bypass that because the system doesn't register it as being anything R-rated. So a kid could go buy Faces of Death at Walmart. A kid could go buy it. A kid could go to Walmart and just grab it, and it's not going to stop them because it's not rated. This whole thing is insane. Mark my words. I'm putting this video out as soon as I can, because part of me thinks that they could pull these and just not sell these anymore. I don't even know if these are actually showing up online right now. That's something that remains to be seen. I don't live in a big town. I have what's called a level B style Walmart, where level A is the big cities, level B is mid-sized cities, and level C is small towns. Obviously, small towns will not get, you know, the majority of new release type stuff unless it's like the biggest movies like Top Gun Maverick. Well, my level B Walmart had it. They had the SKU for it. As a matter of fact, it's the only store so far that I actually saw the slot with the actual name of Faces of Death and the price for it. I don't know what to tell you guys. My thing is this. If you are interested in this, just go to any Walmart and look for it, because there's no telling. Here's the other thing that's interesting. A guy that watches the channel, I'll keep him anonymous, but he actually reached out to me and said, hey, here's actually an early listing. I don't even know if you could search this up yet, but here, if you want to order it, go and order it. Well, when I got on that link, it actually had my home zip code in there, and it actually showed that my store had one available. So I was like, okay, well, I get off work in the morning, I'm going to go to Walmart and look for it. It wasn't there. I went up to the girl and asked her, hey, can you look for this movie in the back? She goes, don't have it. I just checked all the boxes, which makes the whole thing even stranger because that was on a Friday, but magically on Sunday it showed up. It could have been overlooked, but who knows? But I ordered it on Friday on the app from Walmart, and it said delayed, can't sell you this, and they refunded me the money. So I ordered it online on Friday, and by Saturday, it canceled my order and refunded me the money, which makes it even weirder that I found this in the store. This is something, in my opinion, that throughout the rest of this year will be a WTF moment for horror. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but somebody commented on my short I did about Faces of Death and said, oh, hey, by the way, I saw Serbian film at my Walmart. Now, I have not seen any pictures of that, so that person could be talking out of their ass. If that happens, then we are living in a different universe right now where everything is ass backwards, and I'm kind of here for it. I sat through all 4 Faces of Death, and mind you, my whole brain and mind is rotted. I need to go sit still and watch Disney films for 3 hours to try to balance this whole thing I've been through. So Faces of Death 1 starts out with decrepit, decayed bodies. Now, like I said, I've heard about Faces of Death throughout the years. I used to find clips of Faces of Death on eBaum's World, but I never rented it on VHS as a kid or owned it by any stretch. Now, all of a sudden, I have 2 releases of this with the Millennium and this one right here. Remember finding clips from Faces of Death all the time on the internet, back around 2006, 7, 8, 9. And I would be mesmerized because, like a lot of people, train wrecks of crashes, bodies, and stuff, a lot of us just can't look away from it. It's just like a part of us. Like, it happens to so many of us. That's why Rotten.com was like the biggest website that everybody kind of would look at, but nobody would really talk about too much. The things in Faces of Death that bother me, mind you, I can't really show you any images of this on the video, so just kind of close your eyes and let me describe some of this stuff to you. There's one scene where this group of people are sitting at a dinner table where they strap a monkey onto the table, and then the monkey's head is poking out of the table, and everybody grabs a little mallet and keeps whacking the monkey's head. Of course, that part, I think, has to be fake, right? They're not actually going to just kill this monkey, because what happens is finally there's a cut after this, and then the monkey's head gets cut wide open, and then they just start scraping out the brains of the monkey. But like I said, the other stuff in here that's clearly real and unfortunate because I don't enjoy necessarily watching this stuff at all, but mind you, I had never seen this on the clips. The stuff I saw on eBaum's World and all the other websites back in the day were stuff about bodies just burning in car crashes and stuff, which most of that stuff is probably fake, but they do actually have stuff, kind of like in Cannibal Holocaust, of animals being skinned at a factory that, packages meats. How they got that footage and put it on here, I don't know. But the whole time you're watching these movies, there's this kind of like doctor guy that has this fascination with death and what it means. And so he's describing the things that he sees almost in a documentary style. Some of them are kind of ridiculous. Some of them are a little too real, like the animal stuff, of course. And then some of them are fake, but they're done in a voyeuristic documentary style way that is just like nothing I've ever seen. But the kicker is this. At the end of Faces of Death Part 1, this is kind of funny. My buddy was watching this with me the other day when I got this. The whole movie is just about death, and you're seeing the end of life, as it were, with all these sequences. So at the end of Faces of Death 1, the credit scene is the most jovial music and pictures of puppy dogs and sunshine the entire time while the credits are rolling, because it's counterbalancing what you just saw, and it's hysterical. Faces of Death 2 is probably the more brutal version of Faces of Death 1, but parts 3 and 4 really focus hard on bodies. I believe it was in part 3 where you see an alligator just ravaging a guy in the water. Again, I think it's fake. It looks fake-ish, but at the same time, it's no fake alligator. I mean, and this thing's doing the death rolls with body parts. You see hands coming out of the water. And then there's also a scene in one of these where, I believe it was 4, you see this insane car crash where these cars are clearly had just blown up and fire was taking over the scene, you name it, and you see this burnt, charred body hanging over the rail on the side of what would be like the interstate, and it's completely charred. And I'm wondering, car crash scene looks so real. I mean, clearly there was severe damage on this interstate, so they just stuck that fake body prop in there, right? Like I said, I haven't really gone out of my way to research too much of Faces of Death. I think I try to keep it a mystery subconsciously. Like, clearly there's stuff in here that couldn't be real. Like, there's a scene of, like, a guy that's like a nurse practitioner holding this woman hostage in a hospital in one. Clearly that is a staged scene, of course. But there's stuff in here that, till this very day watching it, stuff that I saw back in the day on, like, E-Bombs World and things like that, and then seeing it again, I still question, what the fuck am I watching? This whole collection is pretty insane, to say the least. Now, some of this stuff may not live up to the memory you had of seeing this back in the day on VHS, and other stuff probably will. But this is Gorgon Video, and it's 4 discs, so you have volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, I will say there's actually options for this. In the event, you just got to get your Faces of Death fix going on. Like part 1, this is the 30th anniversary edition. There is a Blu-ray remaster of this. Now, how well it looks remastered, I can't say. But there's disc 1. Here's Faces of Death 2 on this purple disc. Faces of Death 3, Scenes from the Underground, which I said Scenes from the Underground has a lot of just people jumping out of like houses and car crashes and severe damage from like wrecks and stuff like that. And I think the opening of 4 or 3, one of the two, it's either 3 or 4, opens with a person being cremated. Like their body is like on the rack in the furnace being cremated. Again, that's got to be fake, of course. But there's things throughout it that look so effing real that you start to just wonder, what the hell am I watching? So the one that's the more visceral one for me is probably the latter ones, 3 and 4. Obviously, with 1 having, actual animal stuff in there, of course, I don't enjoy watching that. But the thing is, it's like, I almost wonder if subconsciously I'm watching this and wondering, well, yeah, of course you don't like watching it, Christian, but you also eat meat basically every day. I am a chicken breast and, ribeye steak kind of guy on a weekly basis. Is it kind of throwing it back in my face? Yeah, for you to eat that, this is what these poor animals have to go through. Of course, I don't like thinking about it, but they got that in there. So, of course, if you want this just because you think it's insane, but you truly don't want to see anything with animals, avoid the first one. By any stretch, avoid Faces of Death 1 and watch the sequels, which of course has more stuff with people, and a lot of that, of course, all of that is probably fake, right? But like the alligators in the movie and stuff, that's real alligators tearing shit up. Whether that's a real person or not, probably not. But my point is, it's done in this voyeuristic and documentary style that makes it seem so real. Above all else, this is like nothing you really have ever seen, and I don't think there'll ever be something like this again, these Faces of Death collections, but this is at Walmart. How long this is going to be available, and in terms of restocks, I doubt there will be any. So if it's sold out at the store, if you saw the slot and it's empty, you may be SOL, but I would say just try. I don't care where you live, just look, because I don't really know where these are showing up, guys. So next up, I'll probably try to pop this Millennium version on and see what's what. I think it might actually have some stuff from this, to be honest with you, but I don't know. I forgot what people had told me about it. But now I have a Faces of Death collection. Like I said, not for everybody, but I think there's a sector of you out there that the fact that this is available at Walmart is so weird enough that you probably want to say, oh yeah, I actually got it from Walmart, because talk about a conversation starter. But that being said, guys, that's kind of my review for Faces of Death. But this whole thing is just bizarro to me. So there you have it, guys. Faces of Death. I got it at Walmart. Huge giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind the scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.